All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Daily December 2021. This is day 30. This is almost it, guys. We got today and tomorrow, and that's it. So first thing first, I need a drink. There you go. I need a drink. Much better. Okay. So, um, just because I don't think I've ever done this, I thought it would be fun to take our Genasi Warlord and show you guys what it's like to level them up to at least Paragon tier. Depending on how long it takes to do that, I may take this all the way up to Epic tier and just make an epic level character. Just to kind of show you the fun stuff that happens as you get to higher levels. Now, again, I've mentioned this before. In 5th edition did a D&D, the kind of sweet spot for adventuring is between 5th and 12th level. The reason that's the quote-unquote sweet spot is that's where most people play D&D 5th edition. It can go sometimes down all the way from like 1st all the way up to 12th. But generally, people don't play too much higher than 12th level. In 4th edition, basically the heroic tier was kind of the sweet spot. You did sometimes get into Paragon tier stuff, but because heroic tier lasted for 10 levels, most of 4E content was written for heroic tier, which is levels 1 to level to 10. And to be perfectly honest, that's generally where you had the most tame stuff. Like once you get to Paragon, you start getting some really weird stuff. And then once you get to Epic tier, every character in Epic tier has a what I call a get out of death free card. Basically, I think it's either level 22 or level to 23 for any Epic to Destiny. They will have an ability that you get where if you're reduced to 0 hit points, something restores you to full life, and then you get a whole new set of things that you can do. And it generally is a daily ability, so you can only do this once per day. But sorry. So killing epic tier 4th edition characters was nigh impossible. Because in addition to them being able to heal each other and all that stuff, like even if you were able to just one-shot one of them, they'd instantly come back. So, it got pretty silly when it got to high level. So I figured it'd be fun to do that. So, going back to here, we have our amazing Genasi Warlord Flamio. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to go to level up. And you can choose any level that you want. I'm going to go to 11 so we can pick our Epic Destiny. Or not Epic Destiny, this would be our Paragon path. So I'm going to click level up. And then it will have me do all the stuff that I need to do for each level. So let's keep going. So a quick reminder of the character as they are right now. And I'm going to see if I can do this. Boom. Of course not. There we go. All right, so there we go. So this is what the character can do. Oops, don't do that. Right now, for the abilities, they have a Commander Strike, which basically means they can have someone else make an attack on their turn. Opening shove is basically they get to push a target, then one of their allies can shift 3 squares or make a melee basic attack against the target, which is fun. Fire Death is their racial ability, so it's an encounter ability. Once per encounter, when you take damage, all damage dice roll of the trigger attack are considered to have a result of 1, which is super fun. Inspiring Word is their healing ability. Overwhelming Force Trap is their first level encounter ability, which is basically an ally makes a melee basic attack, and then they can use an at-will attack power instead of a melee basic attack. So if we pair that up with Opening Shove or Commander's Strike, that gives us more stuff. And then Bastion of Defense does 12 versus AC, 3 weapon plus strength mod damage, and each ally with 5 squares you gets a +1 power bonus to all defenses until the end of the encounter. And each ally within 5 squares you grants temporary hit points equal to 5 plus your charisma modifier, which is a +1. And that's that. Yo, I think it's time for us to level up this character. So let's go to level 2. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna choose all of our powers first. So this is our level 2 ability. Every like 4-ish levels, instead of getting like a battle power, you'll get what's called an utility power, which these there's basically 2 different things you can get. You can get one of these utility powers, which are things like this. So an ally within 5 squares you scores a critical hit. They get temporary hit points equal to your charisma modifier. So they're generally going to not be things that let you make attacks or do things like that. They're going to be other things like heroic effort here. If you're bloody, each ally in the burst as a target can add their charisma modifier to damage rolls until you are no longer bloodied. Also, you gain temporary hit points equal to your level plus your charisma modifier. So those are things there. And then the other thing you can do is you can get skill powers. So you can either go with a Warlord utility power or you can get a skill power like this, Perfect Recall. When you would make an intelligence check, you can make a history check in place of the intelligence check. And what that means is like an intelligence check isn't going to use the bonus that you get for being trained in history. So this just means all basically intelligence checks you can treat as if it was your history check. Things like that. Or talented athletics. You fail an athletics check by 5 or more when swimming or climbing. You treat the skill check result as if you failed by 4. That was actually something in 4th edition that happened a fair amount, was when you failed something, depending on how much you failed it by, would actually change the effect. And went the other way too. There were some times where if you succeeded by 5 or more or 10 or more, you would get an additional effect. It was one of the things I liked about 4th edition. But in order for it to work, like, you can't really do it in 5th edition because the numbers were so much bigger in 4th edition, because you added half your level to every single roll you made, and then you had all these other things. So they just, like, ACs got up into the 40s and 50s and stuff like that. So there was just the ranges were significantly larger, and so failing by 5 or succeeding by more than 5 was something you can do, whereas in 5th edition, the ranges are just smaller, so they would, bare minimum, they would have to be smaller numbers, and it just doesn't work as well. But it was fun. So as far as for Flamio, what are we going to do? Again, he doesn't have a great charisma mod, so it's not the greatest thing that all these things require a charisma mod. To be perfectly honest, I'm with how I like Flamio to work. I probably should have gone strength and charisma instead of a strength and intelligence build, but I still like. And that was one of the nice things about 4th edition, is you could have like suboptimal builds that were still a lot of fun to play and still worked perfectly well. Bounding leap. Yeah, it's boring. Let's go for one of these. wind. This is kind of cool. This effectively is an additional heal that has to be done in. It's a touch based heal effectively. So. And you use your standard action for it. So this is something where if you didn't want to use your standard action to basically have one of your allies attack, with the Warlord being a leader, this just gives them an additional heal, which is nice. So let's go with that. Like, that's a pretty simple one. We'll do that. We'll go to third level. We get an encounter power. Now, the other thing that you can do every time you level up in 4th edition, you could change one power that you had learned at a previous level. You could change it to a different one if it just wasn't working for you. So that was something I always liked. And you can theoretically, if there were 2 first level powers that you really liked, you theoretically, instead of choosing a 3rd level encounter power, you could choose another 1st level. But the higher level things are always going to be more useful and more powerful. So you'll notice every so often these things like tactical presence. That was the thing that we chose in the beginning, the kind of your flavor of Warlord, and so there will be certain powers that, depending on your presence of ability, will have different effects. So we have again the bravura presence. So with this one here, this one. You have to charge and use this power in place of a melee basic attack. So, okay, that makes sense. There's a 1 weapon strength modifier damage, and you knock the target prone, which is really nice. But if you have bravura presence, the attack hits, the power is not expended. And then if you miss, the target gains combat advantage against you until the start of your next turn. So, very much kind of a risk-reward thing, but this is an encounter power that you can effectively just keep using over and over and over again, and it fits with our bravura presence. So let's go ahead and do that. That gives us a charge attack, which is fun. The way charging worked in 4th edition was you could move, and then for your standard action you would charge, which meant you would move, and you had to move at least 10 feet in a straight line towards an enemy, and at the end of that movement, you could make a melee basic attack. So it was effectively a way to dash and make an attack at the same time. So this effectively just meant that they could, you could charge and then, knock a target prone, and with bravura presence, you could just do it over and over again as long as you hit. So I like that. I'm going to choose that for something cool. Now we go to 5th level. We get a daily power. So this was something that was kind of cool in 4th edition. You had these things called stance powers. Basically what would happen is you would activate this stance. A lot of times it'd be a minor action to do it. And then as long as the stance happened, it would have something you could do. So for this one, until the stance end, whenever an enemy adjacent to you attacks an allies of yours and miss, you deal damage to the enemy equal to your intelligence modifier as a free action. And if we had tactical presence, if the enemy is marked by an ally, marking was a 4th edition thing that tanks did, you deal 1 weapon plus intelligence modifier damage instead. So this was basically a stance that just allowed you to get hits in to enemies, which was cool. But that's not what this particular one is built around. Let's check this out. So this is a close burst one. So you had different shapes. You had, let's see if I can find one that is range, melee, close burst, 5, close burst. So anyway, so burst meant, close burst 5 meant a square that was 5 squares on a side, so an area that was 5 squares on a side, and the center of it was on you, if I remember correctly. Or it was it was anything within 5 squares of you. So close burst just meant that it was centered on you. So close burst 5 meant anything basically within 5 squares of you. And so for this one here, each target can make a melee basic attack as a free action against a bloodied enemy adjacent to him or her. So this one, bloodied was another thing from 4th edition that I sometimes use in my 5th edition games. Basically, once an enemy was below their half of their maximum hit points, they were considered bloodied. And there were a lot of powers that would change based on whether or not a target was bloodied. Like this one, effectively, if your allies are all fighting different enemies and they can bloody them all, you can knock off this daily power, and every one of your allies gets to make a free attack against an enemy just for that. So you can literally get, if you have a team of 5 people, you can get 4 attacks out of this. So that one's always cool. What's this? This one's kind of cool. And actually, I like the idea of it. So this one it's called I've Got Your Back. It was 3 weapon plus strength modifier damage if it hit. And then until the end of the encounter, any ally adjacent to you gains a +2 power bonus to AC and reflex. So again, the Warlord was all about, strengthening allies and being on the front lines. I like that. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that for my power. We get to another utility power at 6th level. Let's see if there's anything cool. Let's check this out. So this actually, it's an encounter power and it's a move action. You target one creature. You make an athletics check against a DC determined by the target's size. If the check succeeds, you jump to another square adjacent to the target without provoking an opportunity attack from it. So this effectively just allows you to move around a target without getting opportunity attack. In 4th edition, if you moved when you were within a target's attack range, you would get an opportunity attack. Unlike 5th edition, where you have to actually leave their attack range to get it. 4th edition didn't work that way. So this is a way to kind of move around. What about this? So this is very similar to the intelligence one. If you make a strength check, you make an athletics check instead. Let's see what stuff here we've got. That's boring. Well, that's kind of cool. Excuse me. So this one, you designate a wall of defensive ground that lasts until the end of your next turn. The wall is 1 square high and must include a square you occupy. You and any ally within the wall gain a +1 power bonus to AC or a +2 bonus to AC while adjacent to an ally who is also within the wall. So I think close wall means you can create a wall that starts from you, and it can go up to 8 squares. So you basically make this 8 square long wall, and anyone within the wall gets a bonus to their AC. You'd see this every so often. You see what's called sustain minor. You could use your minor action to sustain it for another turn. And so this could just be a really great way to give your team some extra AC. I like this one. So, this is another stance. Until the stance ends, when you hit with a melee attack, choose a bloodied ally within 5 squares of you. That ally gains temporary hit points equal to 5 plus your charisma modifier. You can choose to grant the temporary hit points when you miss with a melee attack, but that grants the target of the attack combat advantage against you until the end of your next turn. So, because this is another one that Bravura presence, which we have. So this one, well, the stance is normally you have to hit something with a melee attack. With Bravura presence, if you miss, you can still grant the temporary hit points. You just grant combat advantage, which is, again, just a flat +2 bonus to AC. I like that one. I think I'm going to do... I think I'm going to do Either this or... Yeah, I like this. So I'm gonna choose that. Encounter power for level 7. What sounds cool on my mark? I actually like this. This one's kind of cool. So basically, choose one ally you can see to make a basic attack against the target as a free action. Now, it says basic attack, not a melee basic attack. So that actually gives you a lot more options as far as it. And if your attack hit the target, the ally gets a power bonus to his or her attack roll equal to your intelligence modifier or wisdom. We don't care about wisdom. I actually like this. This is really, really cool. So you attack and an ally attacks, which is really, really nice. Definitely going to use that. Another daily power. So I'm thinking I like this. So this is kind of an interesting one where one or two allies in the burst. So close burst 10. So a burst within, anyone within 10 squares of you effectively. The target can use the power coordinated assault attack. Each target must attack a different creature. So basically, I get to give 2 attacks to 2 of my allies. And the way that this works is it's strength or dexterity versus AC. The target ally can shift the 3 squares. So they can shift 3 squares, and then they do 2 weapon plus strength or dex modifier damage, and the target falls prone. This one's really, really cool because, again, it gives out attacks, which is what the Warlord does effectively, is they just give out attacks over and over and over again. So I like that. It gets them, allows them to knock the target prone. They get to do extra damage. Like I love everything about this. I think I'm gonna choose that one. And then a utility power at level to the 10. What's bolstering shot? That sounds good. Nah, it's kind of boring. Rallying deflection. Oh, this is kind of cool. Okay, so rallying deflection. An enemy hits you with a ranged attack. Okay. After using a shield, my character uses a shield. Reduce the attack's damage by 1/2 your level. Okay, that's fine. And then one ally within 5 squares of the attacker can charge the attacker as a free action. This is super cool. I love this stuff where the Warlord just gives out actions constantly. Like having a Warlord on your team is one of the reasons I love the Warlord in 4th edition. And it's one of the reasons I love control-based characters in 5th edition, and it's something that's really underutilized. The reason I love it so much is because knowing your allies and knowing their abilities and what they're good at and what they're not good at makes the Warlord really, really dangerous to all the bad guys, because they can just give out attacks to whomever is going to do the most damage with it. So yeah, I love that stuff. It's so cool. So I'm definitely choosing that. All right, so that's all the powers. Now we're going to... we need to choose a bunch of feats, I think is what they're going to have us do next. Yep, it's feat time. So again, these are these are the racial feats. So you can see here, you can get dark vision. They normally don't have Genasi normally don't have dark vision. Dark vision's always nice. But let's see what the class features are. I'm probably going to take that for one of my feats. As you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 heroic tier feats, and then once we get to level 11, you will notice that we will get more feats that we can use. So, yeah, I'm gonna have plenty to play around with. If you spend an action point to make an extra attack, you can choose to use this feat. If the attack hits, the enemy grants combat advantage until the end of your next turn. If the attack misses, you grant... Okay, so that's kind of cool. When you use Inspiring Word, usually grants combat until the start of your next turn, but deals extra damage to your Charisma modifier. I don't have a good Charisma. Interesting. Double team. When making a melee attack, you can take a -2 penalty to the attack roll. If it hits, another ally adjacent to the target gets a +3 bonus to damage rolls against the target until the end of your next turn. That's kind of cool. Bonus initiative. I like the stuff that specifically talks about my Baruva presence. I actually like that. So I'm going to choose the improved Baruva presence. Inspiring Word, again, is that heal that they can do. I actually like that too. So this, if I hit someone, if I hit an enemy and then use a Inspiring Word to heal someone, they get additional health based on my strength modifier. That's cool. So it's definitely to do that. I want to get... I like that dark vision, so I want to get the dark vision. This might not be bad either. Because that would increase my fire resistance. What else do I have here? When you charge, you can choose to use his feat. If the charge attack hits, you also knock the enemy prone. If the attack misses... See, I already have an encounter power that does that, so I don't really need that. +2 to AC. Yeah, that's a good one there. The combat leader thing is basically... if I remember correctly, that was the one where they could use my... It's has to do with initiative rolling and things like that. I think they got a bonus to initiative, or they could use my initiative, something like that. So anyone that decides to use that also gets a bonus to their AC, which is nice. If you grant an ally a basic attack against enemy that's adjacent to you, yeah, because I do so many, grant so many different attacks that it just makes sense to do that. Okay, so now we're going to level 11. So now you will see that you have things like this. When manifesting Fire Soul or Storm Soul, your melee attacks deal an extra 2 fire damage or an extra 2 lightning damage. Now, I have neither Fire Soul nor Storm Soul. I'm Cinder Soul, so that wouldn't help. Any of these are all based on souls that I don't have. But they do have... What was it? So, extra manifestation. When you take a short rest or an extended rest, you can adopt this new elemental manifestation instead of one of the ones you've been exhibiting. So basically, this allows you to have multiple flavors of genasi that you get to change on a short or long rest. I'm not going to do that for this one right now, but maybe if we level them up a little more, who knows? So anything that says 11th level... the bonus to initiative granted by your combat leader class feature now equals either is now equal to your charisma modifier or intelligence modifier, whichever is higher. We already have a +3, so we don't need that. This is cool. Adjacent allies benefit from any resistance or saving throw bonus you have because of your current elemental manifestation. So they would get a resist 5 fire, which is kind of cool. This just gives me an additional use of Inspiring Word, which is just useful. So I'm going to do that. So next up, ability score in pieces increases. So the way that this works is you could increase 2 ability scores by 1 every 4 levels, and you can't do the same thing twice. So strength is always going to be one that we do. And in addition to that, charisma is 12 right now. I think I'm going to go intelligence. When you get to, I believe it's when you get to 10th or 11th level, you just get a +1 to all your stats, which is why all my stats are odd right now. And then when I go to 8, I'm going to go strength again. And since I have charisma already at a +1, I just wanted something in my charisma modifier because there are so many things that I just want to have something for charisma mod. I think I'm just going to continue with the intelligence now. So we've got that. That's pretty good. And now we get to choose our Paragon path. So, again, at 11th level, you choose a Paragon path. This is effectively a subclass. And there's just a ton of different ones. As you can see, these are the available subclasses. Calm down, phone. These are the available subclasses. As you can see, I've got one here from Essentials, so that's going to be something a little bit more simple. These are the ones from the Player's Handbook, and then these are all the extra ones that have been added through other things. So as you can see, like if we look at the Essential one, the Dark Watcher. Now, these are not all limited to the Warlord. There's a lot of different ways that you can get a Paragon path. Sometimes, like these, are for any good or lawful good alignment can become a Dark Watcher. Whereas these specifically require you to be the Warlord class, and then 2 of them require the Warlord class plus proficiency with heavy armor. And then the rest of these, that's Warlord. I'm trying to see Princess Genie's elemental origin or training in diplomacy. This one's specifically Warlord with the Baruva Presence class feature. You've awakened the dragon, now you face the fire. So each one of these will have a description of the class itself. So a dragon driven to wrath is a terrifying foe. So the actual abilities that you get with this. So Flame of Revival at 11th level. When you are dying, you add your charisma modifier to any hit points you regain, and you gain a bonus to death saving throws equal to your charisma modifier. And you also get, when you spend an action point to take an extra action, you can use your Baruva Presence class feature as if you were your own ally. So that's kind of cool. And then you also get these additional powers at things. So this is at 11th level, you get this encounter ability. Before the attack, one blunted ally within 5 squares, you can make a basic attack as a free action. With a bonus to the attack roll equal to your charisma modifier. If the attack hits, you get a +2 bonus to your attack roll. If it misses, you get a -2 bonus. And on a hit, it's 3 weapon plus strength mod to the damage. So that's kind of cool. It is a little charisma based, so I don't think I wanted to do that one. Let's see some of the other stuff that's here. Not all heroic warriors walk in the light. As a shadow captain, you know that there is strength to be found in darkness. Among the lost souls, you get the power to command shadows. Spirits carry out your wishes on the battlefield, and those forces are strong and disciplined. This is badass. When you spend an action point to take an extra action, you and an ally within 5 squares of you deal 1d6 extra necrotic damage on melee attacks until the end of your next turn, and then extra damage at 21st level. And you gain a +2 bonus to perception checks and a +2 bonus to insights. And you get, at 11th level, you get this thing. So this would be make a secondary attack. It's charisma versus reflex. And the target is weakened until the end of your next turn. Oh, that's interesting. I don't like that all these use that, but who cares? This is cool. 12th level, you get Shadow Guardians, which is a daily. You conjure a number of shadow soldiers equal to your intelligence modifier, +4, minimum 1, that lasts until the end of your next turn. Each shadow soldier appears in an unoccupied square within range. The shadow soldiers provide cover to allies, but not enemies. An enemy that enters a shadow soldier square is immobilized, and I can sustain it. The shadow persists. As a move action, you can move each shadow soldier a number of squares equal to your charisma modifier. This is so cool. I'm totally being a shadow captain. Yeah, that's super badass. All right, so Paragon path. I'm a shadow captain. So now let's check out our new character sheet. Do. All right, so here we go. So you can see numbers get really, really high, really, really quick. So my AC right now is 22. Fortitude defense 23, reflex defense 20, will defense 17. My passive insight and passive perception, despite the fact that I have a negative wisdom score because you add half your level to everything. This is my melee basic attack. One of the things I didn't do, which I probably should do, we'll deal with that in a. Oh, let's go ahead and do that now. So I'll close that out. Turn you off. Turn you on. So something else that happens in 4th edition, magic items aren't just like a good idea. Magic items are essential. The game is built around you regularly getting more magic items, to the point where if you build a character at anything above level 1, you actually give them 3 magic items for free. And the way that you choose, all the magic items have a level, and the way that you choose which magic items you can give them is you choose one magic item that is one level above your level, one magic item that is equal to your level, and one magic item that is lower than your level. So for Flamio, level 11, that means I get a level 12 item, a level 11 item, and a level 10 item. I want a magic weapon. I want a magic flail. There we go. And as you can see, the level is here. So let's go to see let's check out the level 12 ones and see what they do. So these are the different magic weapons, and you'll see like Aftershock weapon +3. Aftershock is just something that you can add to just any weapon. So this blade allows you to place your Aegis on all nearby foes with a singular word of power. That's particularly for Aegis. That might be for a sword mage, if I remember correctly. I can't remember who uses Aegis, but it's not going to help the Warlord. So what happens is when you see this critical, when you roll a critical hit, the way critical hits work, if I remember correctly, because it's been a while, the way critical hits work in 4th edition is when you roll a crit, you do the maximum amount of damage you can, and then you roll again for whatever it would be. So you're always going to do at least the maximum amount of damage plus some extra. Anytime you see critical, that means when you're rolling again, you also add an additional 3d6 for this one. And because it's a +3 weapon, +3 to attack rolls and damage rolls, so... And this is actually an uncommon weapon, so it's not even that thing. And then it has an encounter power, free action. Use this power when you hit with this weapon. You take damage up to the maximum of this weapon's enhancement bonus, +3. This damage cannot be reduced or prevented in any way. Increase the damage your target takes by double the amount of damage you took. Triple if you are wielding the weapon in 2 hands. So that's kind of cool. Let's see, Death Steel weapon. You deal damage with this weapon attack. Using weapon, the damage ignores necrotic resistance. Don't need that. Defensive weapon. When you take the total defense or second wind action, you can add the enhancement bonus weapon as an item bonus to all your defenses. Devil Blind. That's kind of cool. Radiant damage, or you get a bonus to saving throws against the attack of devils, and then daily. Use this power when you hit a devil with this weapon. The target takes an extra 2d8 radiant damage and is blinded. That's kind of cool. Flesh Seeker sounds cool. When you hit an enemy with this weapon, you gain a +1 power bonus to your next attack against the target with his weapon. That's kind of cool. Guardian's Call. No, I believe that's a druid kind of thing. Lesser cloak. This was one of my favorite things ever, was having a cloaked weapon. Because the way that it works is, when stowed, a cloaked weapon cannot be detected or taken from its owner. The weapon's owner must speak a chosen word when stowing the weapon somewhere on his or her person. this word becomes the weapon's command word. As a minor action, the weapon's owner can give the command word and reach for the location where the weapon was last stole, and it will appear in the owner's hand. The weapon's owner can use the same command word or choose a different command word each time the weapon's owned. So effectively, you can, take a sword and go away, and it just disappears, and then you reach for it again and come back. And I loved cloaked weapons. They were super, super fun. So I might be doing that. PowerPoints were for psionic abilities. Relentless weapon's a nice one. So this one, if you get a crit, you knock the target prone. Target is dazed until the end of your next turn. That's really nice. Staggering weapon. I don't want that. Supremely vicious. Transference weapon. It's supremely vicious. That's kind of cool. Vicious weapon. Oh, so you can see for a vicious weapon, it just has really, really high crit damage. Weapon of Shared Wrath. Oh, this totally fits. This totally fits our Warlord. So, Weapon of Shared Wrath does an extra 3d8 damage. And then an enemy bloodies you. One ally within 5 squares, you can make a basic attack as a free action. This is totally what we want. So we're just going to add that. So we did that. Let's get some magic armor. I'm going to do ringmail, studmail, chainmail. Can't use scale, splint, or plate. So we'll do chainmail. What kind of cool... We can do just general chainmail. We've already done 12, so this has to be an 11. 11 or 10. So we can do just a magic armor plus 3 or imposter's armor plus 3. I actually like this. I actually like this. So imposter's armor. So do chainmail is what we do. We're going to do imposter's armor. That is our 11th level magic item. And then, what else do we want? Oh, let's get a shield. Because we had spike plate. I thought. Hide leather. Where are we? Shield. Light shield or spike shield? Let's do spike shield. Spike shield's cool. And this one has to be a level to the 10. So I don't have a ton of choices on this one. So, healer's shield. That's not great. Hit by an attack. You are hit by the attack instead. That's kind of boring. Bolstering shield. You take damage from an attack. Effect, you gain 5 temporary hit points and shift 1 square. That's kind of cool. Augment 1 is a psionic power thing, so I wouldn't be able to use that. But that's kind of cool. I think I could deal with that. If we just go light shield. Oh, it's the same thing where there's a light shield or a spike shield. I think I'm just going to do a light shield, bolstering shield. Unless, because theoretically we could go down to 9th level and it wouldn't technically be breaking any rules. Now I think I'm going to go bolstering shield, so we're going to go ahead and add that. And then to make our character sheet reflect all this stuff, we just do this. Oh, you can actually use a flail of shared wrath with 2 hands. Interesting, didn't know that, but I like having a shield. So there we go. So now we're all set. We can go to our character sheet again. Boop. 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 Okay, so As you can see, AC is now 27 because we got that nice armor. Combat leader. So that's the combat leader we were talking about. You allies with a 10 feet. You can see here you get a +2 for initiative. And then for feats, as you can see, we had one that I thought we had one that increased. Anyway, so let's go all the way down to. So these are the things that we can do now with this super cool character. We still have Commander's Strike because our intelligence has gone up a little bit. It gets a little bit better. We still have Opening Shell. We still have Fire Death. Inspiring Word. So this one, you can use it twice. Fight on, you can use it 3 times. So we now have 3 times per encounter we can heal. With it being level 11, they get 3d6 additional hit points whenever they did to do this. So it's pretty nice. We still have that, and then we still have Overwhelming Force Shot, and then we have Flattening Charge. That's the one that we can just keep reusing as long as we hit with it. As you can see, it does all the calculations of how the attacker goes. So if we're using the Flail of Shared Wrath, it's a +16 to attack, and it's 1d10 +9 to the damage. On my mark, again, so +16 to attack, 1d to the 10 +9 damage, and then if your attack hits a target, the ally gets a bonus there. Skirmishing Presence doesn't matter because we didn't take that one. Underworld Gambit. And that's the Charisma +2 versus Reflex. And then Bastion of Defense. Again, that would be 3d pen +9 damage there. And I've got your back Coordinated Assault. There's the Coordinated Assault attack. And then Second Wind, Aid the Injure. Is that utility ability that just gives us another heal. There's our Encouraging Stance. It's a daily. And then we also have cards for all of our stuff as well. So this is our Flail of Shared Wrath, our Imposter's Chainmail, and Bolstering Shield, Light Shield. So, yeah. So, this video's gone on for a little bit, a little long. But let's go back up here. Boo, boo, boo. But I like it. I think it's cool. So if we go back to manage, no details. Okay, so yeah, this is our level 11 Flamio, our Genasi Warlord, who is now now has what was their Paragon path again? Look at this again. Yeah, Shadow Captain, I think, is the Paragon path. Counterparts, you can see you got all this stuff here. Oh, it's just so cool. So actually, somewhere on here, it's got to list my Paragon path. Anyway, so, sorry, I was looking at the character sheet. Anyway, yeah, that's our super cool Warlord. Like I said, 4th edition was a spectacle. It was super fun, super unique, and just an absolute joy to play. I've never understood the people that pissed on it. Because most of the people that hated 4th edition never played 4th edition. And they just didn't like the fact that it wasn't 3rd edition. And most of those people went on to play Pathfinder, became Pathfinder purists that are really annoying. Pathfinder purists are like the vegans of the tabletop community. You don't have to ask them what game they play. They'll tell you. And they'll tell you how wrong you are for not playing their game. Yeah, I never got the hate about this because, again, this was my first tabletop version of D&D. I'd played computer versions of it for years, and but the first time I sat down at a table and rolled dice with complete strangers in a friendly local game store. I was playing 4th edition, and I had an absolute blast doing it. It was super fun. I still think 4th edition is a hell of a system, and it's super, super fun. And if you are, I am of the opinion that if you want to create a D&D show that people watch, 5th edition is super fun. Like Critical Role has already shown, 5th edition can make a really great thing. But if you really want to just have a spectacular, like, action movie, like comic book movie style awesome show, play a 4th edition game. Because that's what you're going to get. 5th edition is going to be, you know, your more kind of down to earth, but still really enjoyable films and things like that. 4th edition is going to be your Avengers Endgame, where they're like throwing planets at each other and stuff like that. Like, that's what 4th edition is, and it makes for a great spectacle, and it's a lot of fun. Anyway, that's all for me today. I will see you guys tomorrow, probably to turn Flamio into an epic level kick a character. So, yeah. Otherwise, again, that's all for me. I'll see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.